Hey guys, this is Todd Brown from the Sneak Peek blog and habitsoftheTopInternetMarketers.com. And in this tutorial video, I'm going to show you 14 different ways that you can use proof and credibility elements to skyrocket your conversions. I'm talking about 14 different ways to strengthen the persuasiveness of your foundational sales message. Now, I happen to believe that most internet marketers focus way too much attention on the different conversion tactics and strategies that they can use. Things like webinars and teleseminars, all things that are fantastic, but they don't invest enough time in strengthening the proof and credibility within their main sales message. Like, it doesn't matter how many teleseminars or webinars or other things you add into your marketing funnel. If your underlying foundational sales message is weak, you're going to struggle when it comes to conversions. Using the right type and quantity of proof and credibility elements can take your conversions to an entirely new level without changing any of the copy or without changing any of the features of your offer or the offer itself. Just adding in proof and credibility can really make you stand out. And by the time you're done with this video, you're going to know exactly how to do that, regardless of what type of product or service you're selling. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is outcome-based testimonials. And this is the most commonly recommended proof element that you hear and see on the net. I'm going to give you a little twist on this. I'm going to share with you a couple of different ways that you can use this and do this right. Now, first of all, you want outcome-based testimonials. That means you want testimonials that are short, to the point, and that are focused on a result that the customer received from your product or service. The more explicit the results are, the better the results are, the better the testimonial will be. So you want outcome-based testimonials. You also want testimonials with full information. The more information about the customer providing the testimonial that you can share or show under the testimonial, the more powerful and credible and believable the testimonial will be. You don't want testimonials with just initials like JR. In an ideal situation, you would want first name, last name, age. You'd want potentially state or city that they're from, and even occupation, obviously depending on your marketplace. But the more information that you can provide, the better, or the more believable the testimonial will be. The other thing that you want to do in line with collecting testimonials for all of the different benefits that your product or service offers. In other words, you want to have testimonials that show that you've delivered results or that you've delivered to customers all of the benefits and results that you're promising your product or service can deliver. So if you say that your product or service can do five different things, then you want a bunch of different testimonials that cover those five different things, that show that customers experienced those five different things thanks to your product or service. In addition to focusing on the benefits that you're promising with your product or service, you also want to have testimonials that overcome objections. The most common objections that prospective customers have when it comes to buying your product or service, you want to have testimonials that overcome those objections. What I mean by that is, let's say, for example, one of the objections you routinely get is, let's say, is that people will think it's too difficult to do. Well, you obviously want to have testimonials that talk about how simple it is. A great testimonial in this case would be, for example, if somebody said, I was nervous before I bought your product that it was going to be extremely difficult, but after buying it and using it, I found it to be incredibly simple, and even a second grader can do it. Like, you see, you want testimonials that not only convey the major benefits you're saying your product or service can deliver, but you also want testimonials that overcome objections. Now, where do you use these testimonials? Well, you've probably heard it said before that you should use testimonials in all of your marketing materials, and I believe that. I really believe that relatively you can't overdo it with outcome-based testimonials like I've just described. But when it comes to using them in a sales letter, in an ideal situation, you want to use contextual appropriate testimonials. And what I mean by that is that if you're talking about a particular benefit, then in that area or right after that paragraph or series of paragraphs, you want to use the testimonials that talk about that benefit. If at a point in your sales letter somebody would have an objection, that's where you want to use the testimonials that cover that objection. So you want testimonials placed throughout your sales letter in appropriate places based on the context of the sales letter. Don't just throw testimonials anywhere on the sales page. Put them in the right place based on what your visitor would be thinking to themselves when they're reading that section or going through that section. As well, if you can get pictures for all of your testimonials, even better. And certainly if you can get video testimonials sent in from ecstatic customers, you should definitely do that. Audio, same thing. The more you can show that these are real and that these are real people, the more believable, obviously, your testimonials are gonna be, and the more of an impact they're gonna have. So that's incredibly important. Now, the last thing that I want to share with you about outcome-based testimonials is that I also believe most internet marketers don't invest enough time, energy, or effort, or resources, capital, money for that matter, into collecting testimonials. I happen to think that today you not only need these outcome-based testimonials with full information and pictures and whatnot, but you need a preponderance of them. The more proof that you can have, the more you stand out. And because of that, I think that it's so well worth you investing your time, energy, effort, and money into getting as many testimonials as you possibly can. If you don't have a system in place right now to routinely and continually collect more and more outcome-based testimonials, you need to do that. I think not too long ago I created a video that's somewhere on the Sneak Peek blog that explains how you can do that on autopilot. But the point is that you need to have a system in place to routinely generate more and more outcome-based testimonials with pictures, with full contact information, and then use them appropriately when it comes to context. I also think that when it comes to video testimonials and audio testimonials, that there's like a psychological element there that tells people your product must be really, really good if somebody were to send you, were willing enough to take their time to send in a video testimonial or call in for an audio testimonial. So anytime you can incentivize customers to do that with contests, with recognition, with rewards, with gifts, with bonuses, I highly recommend you do that. The second proof element or credibility element is what I call case studies, before and afters. And these are very similar to outcome-based testimonials, except they're not presented as testimonials. Today on the internet, a lot of people, they're skeptical of testimonials because in savvy markets, they're used all the time, right? Like testimonials are commonplace today in most niches and marketplaces on the internet. But so people tend to be a little bit more skeptical and a little bit more reluctant to accepting testimonials. They tend to come across in most instances as marketing. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't have them. You should absolutely have them. The more, the better, as I already described. But a case study is more like an interview with a happy or ecstatic customer, and it can be presented to your prospective customers as a case study, as kind of a learning tool, as something that they can learn from. And because it's a case study, it tends to fly under the radar. It tends to make its way into their mind, so to speak. Kind of like a message on a blog tends to come across as more educational than salesy. A message on a website comes across as a lot more salesy than that same message on a blog, just because of the context. Now, when I say a case study, there's a number of different ways to do this, but the simple way that I would share with you is you can get a customer on the phone for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and record the conversation. Record you asking that customer a number of different questions. Of course, a majority of the questions, like let's say there are 5 questions, 3 of the 5 should be questions that elicit answers that make for a great testimonial, like, how have you benefited from XYZ over the last 30 days, and so on and so forth. But 2 of the 5 questions, if you're going to go with 5, should elicit educational answers. In other words, should be of value to your prospective customers.